Hi everyone, this is Zuri. You have once again found Talk Yarning to Me. Thank you guys for joining me today. I am not going to be before you long because I don't have a whole lot to show, and um, because the temperatures are dropping and it's a little bit chilly out here in my sunroom where I do most of my recording. So we're going to try to keep it. What's the cat doing? Clawing up the recliner. Gonna try to keep it short, but I always say that and end up rambling, so no promises. We are on vacation this week. I took the week off for Thanksgiving. And the kids are all off, but they're not here. Um, my plan was to get a whole lot of knitting and crocheting done. I have gotten very little done for a few reasons. One, because I have not yet been able to vacate for my vacation. Every day this week today's Wednesday. Every day this week I've had something to do. Monday, we had to take my son for to the post office because we applied for a passport for him. And the first time you've got to like go in person and sign the stuff. So we went and did that, and we did it over the post office by his dad's place, which is like an hour for me. And then I had to like that was like at 12:30, but then like at 6:30 he had a kung fu lesson also on that side of town. So it's like there's no point in me driving all the way back home and then coming back a few hours later to take him to kung fu. So we just made a day of it. What did we do? We went, oh, his dad's birthday's on Monday, so we went and got his dad a birthday present. And then I bought a bunch of clothes for him. So we dropped those off at his dad's house. We we went to eat lunch. And then we were gonna go to a movie, but there's actually nothing good out that either of us are interested in. So I took him to the arcade. Even though I was like, the arcade is not gonna, because we still had like 2.5, 3 hours to kill, and I was like, the arcade is not gonna kill a lot of time. I'm gonna tell you now, you're not gonna want to be there for 3 hours. And he was like, no, do the arcade, because I would also suggested like we can go to the bookstore. And so sure enough, after about an hour, he was kind of ready to go. He kept checking his watch. He's like, oh, time is going slowly. And I was like, I told you. But we finally kind of killed enough time that we headed back over to where the Kung Fu studio is, which actually is like right next door to the post office that we started at. So it was just a whole thing. And then we were still like half an hour early. So we just sat out there and waited till it was time for his class to start. So that was my whole day Monday. Tuesday, yesterday, my mom had a doctor's appointment at like 10:30 in the morning, and that's also about an hour away. So we had to leave the house early and take her for her doctor's appointment, just like her yearly checkup. Um, and that didn't take a ton of time. We were home by 12:30, so I guess I had the rest. Then I had to do some running around because I had to drop off my passport. Because I had to renew mine. And I couldn't just do the easy like online renewal because it's been expired for over a year, and I changed my name since the last time I got a passport. So I had to go drop that off, and then I had to run around. I went to the DMV because my son is going to be 15 in the spring, and I went to go pick up the little like driving manual book, but they don't have paper copies apparently anymore. I thought they still did, but he does better with paper copies. They want you to go online. I might see if I can print it out for him. Um, and there's just a lot of running around. Plus, it was rainy, so it was a lot of traffic yesterday. So that was that whole day gone. And then today, I had most of the morning good, but then my dog, he has an ear infection. And so today, this afternoon, I had to take him to the vet to get checked out. His ears checked out. Both his ears are infected. One of them's worse than the other. And then he got like the little shots they put in there that like last 3 weeks. So that's what he's got now. So that was that whole afternoon gone. So I did get to at least sleep in the morning for once. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so there's all that going on. And then Friday is gonna be my one true vacation day. So I think we're gonna do. We were hoping to like get the Christmas tree and do the decorations last week, but we just were really busy last weekend. So probably just me and my husband are gonna do it on sometime this weekend and get all that done, pull down the decorations from the attic, just making sure my thing is recording, and do all of that. So, yeah, not much of a vacation and not really any time for working on my knitting and crocheting. So, I did get a little done. I'm going to show it to you. yeah, that was that. I do have another. I'm gonna take it the week of Christmas off too, so we'll try again then, like, to actually vacate for our vacation. Okay, but I do have some stuff to show you. First of all, I'm gonna show you my hat. So this is just like the kind of not scrap, but like leftover yarn hat that I made with the bit left over of my Lucky Brand cotton wool brand the cotton wool blend that I used to make my Norma cowl. Um, I only had a little bit of these two colors left, so I was like, okay, we'll just make a hat and then we'll just use as much of the yellow as we can. I blocked it only because I don't usually block hats, but I blocked it because I felt like I didn't do a great job on my decreases, and the top was just a little bit more pointy than I liked it. And then I mentioned that I also didn't go up a needle size, so I didn't want it to be too small. Though I had my husband try it on before I blocked it. He said it wasn't too small, but I didn't like, even when he had it on, the the crown was a little bit pointier than I would like. So I think this probably helped. It probably stretched out the brim more than I would like, but that's quite all right. But this is the final result. I still think I like it. I still think I'm gonna probably give it to one of the kids. I'll probably give it to my son. Um, because I took my son to this museum over the weekend called the World of Coke, which is exactly what it sounds like. Coke was invented here in Atlanta, and so it's just about the history of Coke. And so I took my son there, just me and him. But when we went to the gift shop, I grabbed some souvenirs for the rest of the family. So I got our youngest a red Coca-Cola beanie, and I got my husband and the oldest socks because they both like socks. So the youngest doesn't need a beanie because I just got him one. And the oldest don't really wear beanies. He did have one this weekend, but I think it was like a roll, like a kind that you roll up, and I think he just wore it to be silly because he kept being like, "This is how you stretch them out," and I was like, "Okay." He like did some funny roly thing. I don't know. I've never seen him wear a hat outside of that, so um, I don't think he'll use it. So my son I know will use it. One, because he walks home from school, and two, he just likes hats in general. So I'll give it to him probably. But that's that. So it's it's just a hat. Nothing special about it. Secondly, I did finally finish my second pair of socks that I'm using. I was using this patent scroy sock in the color red brown no gray brown marl. Um, this is, I don't think I have really any left of the two original balls. This is kind of like the ball I mangled a little when I had to like make up for some knots. But these are the two socks. So this is the one I finished before. This is the second one. Okay. Here they are. Still pretty much an exact match. Now these were an adventure this week. Technically, I finished the second sock on Sunday, right? So I decreased down to the toes. Um I did the Kitchener stitch in the toe to seam it up. Um, and then I came out here to just grab my other sock just to see how well they matched up. And it looked like this. Actually, no, I'll show you what it looked like. I took a picture because it didn't even look like this. It was like an inch short and it ended like in the red instead of like down here in the gray. And I was like, what did I do? And what I must have done is that I miscounted and I started decreasing 10 rows early. Um, and you know, right before I started decreasing for the toe, I was like, I should probably go and compare and make sure that this is right. And then I just didn't get up and do it. I should have. But I didn't, and I paid for it because this was the one time that I also like um woven all my ends and did everything. I did all the finishing work before I came out here and checked the other sock. And that's when I saw what I just showed you, right? And so I was like, oh no. So I had to I had to pick out the end that I wove in, I had to undo it. I had to like rip it back. I had to put the needles back on and make sure my stitch count was okay and refinish the sock. That was Sunday night. I did it. So then I came back and compared again, and I noticed that on the original sock, I had my toe. This is almost embarrassing. I had the seam going in the wrong direction. So instead of the seam going like across around the toes, as you would expect, right? So if these are my toes, this is what you would expect, right? A seam like this, right? I had the seam doing this. So the seam was like going, if this was my foot, it was like that. So what happened is that with this pattern, which is the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla sock pattern, when you're doing the gusset, you move your temporarily while you're doing the gusset decreases, you move your beginning of row, end of row to the top of the sock here, right? And then once you get it back down to your original stitch count, you go back to your original beginning of row, right? And so I forgot on this sock to move my beginning of row back to the original point. And so this sock, I ended up having it like so the seam went around like around the toe. So that would have been not super comfortable walking. And then it probably wouldn't have like have the right shaping on the decreases. So then on Monday, I had no, so the good news on this is I had not woven in the ends yet. And I had left myself a really long tail. So there was more than enough for me to fix that um and re-close everything back up without like having to tie on new yarn or just do a whole lot of extra surgery. All I had to do was like um undo the Kitchener stitch and then frog it back to all the way back to where I started the decreases, which is like here, right around here. So I was doing that Monday. The problem with doing that Monday is I told you we were out and about quite a bit. um I did get to the post office early, so I got it kind of, I had more than enough time before our appointment um to unravel it, to frog it back, and to get it back on the needles, and to like start maybe the first row of decreases just to get it on its way. And then I was trying like time, here and there as we were making stops on our trip, especially when we were at the arcade. After I played a few games of what's it called, air hockey, because that's my son's favorite with him. He was kind of just playing some other games, and I was walking around with him. But eventually, like my feet were hurting anyway, so I went and sat down. I was like, I'm gonna go sit down for a few minutes. So I pulled this out and I tried to work on it at the arcade, and I tried to work on it during during kung fu class. And both times I just kept getting like my stitch counts off and just missing stuff and dropping stitches. So finally, I just put it away until I got home and I cleaned it up, I think. And then last night I was able to finish this as I was watching TV. Um, so yeah, it's finally done. It should have been technically all done on Sunday night, but it finally got done last night, and so we are on. Um, we've got two completed. So two completed out of the five that I want to get done. So here we are. This is size about 11. This is a size 14. Like, so you see the difference there. Is that not crazy? So hopefully, hopefully it's not too big. It just looks so big. My goodness. Like here's my hand for comparison. But size 14 foot is pretty big. So I can't remember 13 or 14. I think it's 14. Okay, so there's that. So sock set number 3 is getting, because I spent so much time on getting this finished. I spent less time on working on these, but I picked these back up last night. And we are chugging along. I'm going to make these about a size 7. So I want to get, it's probably going to be about 7 inches of knitting until we get to before we start decreasing. And I'm at about 5 right now, 4.5, 5. Let me see. I never have a tape measure right here when I want one. But this is where we're at. We're just knitting on the foot. Okay? So that's that. And then I'm gonna. Sorry, my nose is. I took because I took my dog to the vet today. There's like dog hair all in the car and just getting all over me. And we are. So my nose is super itchy. Um, this one is also using paint and square yarn in the color. What is it? In the color violet amethyst stripes. This is the ones that I'm doing two at a time. I think I mentioned that like when I was doing my gusset for these originally, like I didn't do it quite right, and I had half of this like one of the socks I had. I think this one here, I didn't have like this is like 32 stitches like or each side like it's 64 stitches total, but because of the way I like separated the gusset stitches, like I had like let's say 40 stitches on one needle and then whatever 20 something on the other needle. And I was like, well, when it's time to decrease, it's going to cause an issue. So what I eventually, at first I was just going to keep going until I got to that point and deal with it then. But I was like, you know what, let me just fix it now. So I took this one off with the needles and put it on like one of my other needles for a few minutes and then straighten this out. Got this like even again and then put it back on. So now I don't have to think about it and worry about it at all. But this is the two at a time ones. I do like doing it two at a time. It is obviously feels slower because you're doing twice the amount of work each round. But like I say every time, I just remind myself that I only have to do it once. So, um, still loving like the jewel tones of it all. But that's that one. So the next one, now that I'm finished with these guys, the next one I'm gonna cast on is this one. I actually have it in my bag. I thought I really had ambitions on Monday to fix this sock real quick and then cast on the third one. Um, but I never even got to that point. So I'm gonna cast this on tonight. This is also Patents Core. This is Patents Core FX in the color Clover Clover Colors. It's got like it's very autumnal. It's got like this kind of rusty maroony red on the outside. It's focus, right? It's marled. Focus. Okay. And but then like it's also got these greens and a bit of these and a little bit of blues too. So it's got lots of colors. But my aunt who this is going to, her favorite color is green. It's my cousin's mom. So I wanted something that had some green in it. So that's next. And I'm just due because I managed to free up the single needle that I made these on. I'm just cast these on the single needle. I do have another long like 40-inch. I could do these double. We'll see. I could do these double, but I think I'll just do these single because I think it's just gonna be too much for me if I try to do the rest of these all double because it's just gonna feel slower. Like I need the like dopamine hit of like a quicker finish or like faster progress. But then when this needle gets freed up, I will cast this one on um as a on the double. Like I'll do these double. So yes. So there's that. That's that. Anything else? What about these socks? I don't think so. Okay, so that's that. So and then the last thing is my sweater. I have not done a ton of work on this just because I've been working so hard on these socks. Um, I did order. I told you I ordered some more cable needles because my cable needle disappeared like out of nowhere from 1 second to the next. I still have not found the original cable needle I was using, which is crazy. And then I don't like this kind. This is what I used while I was waiting for this guy to arrive. I don't like this kind. Let me put it away. This is the set that I bought. Um, so you see it's got a bunch of different options. It's got the hook kind like this. It's got this kind. It's got like the the stitch holders like for when you're doing sleeves and stuff. Um, yeah. So I just ordered it on Amazon. Came very quickly. Okay, but I haven't done a whole lot with this in the last few days because I've been working on these socks. But this is the where I got to since the last time. This is where I was the last time we talked, and so this is where I got to. I think I did this like I worked on this like last week, and I haven't worked on it at all this week. But I am going to, because I feel like every time I put this down for more than a few days, when I pick it back up, I always have a lot of trouble. Like the momentum is gone and I always mess stuff up. So um, I'm gonna make sure to pick this up. I'll probably get this sock cast on and maybe try to get through the cuff tonight, and then I'll move on to these. So nothing really that you haven't, like nothing new going on with this guy at the moment. You know, it's just the same thing you've seen, but it has grown. It's grown. That's that. Um, that's it. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. I don't think we're gonna spend a ton of time. I mean, like we're not gonna stay all day. We're going to my in-laws. They live about 15 minutes away. But they're also gonna have a full house. Originally, I heard it was gonna be like 27 people, but I hear now it's down to 17. Some of my husband's cousins, who he hasn't seen since he was quite young, are gonna be there with their kids. We got two of our kids are gonna be there. Um, and then I know some other aunts and uncles. I don't know if my mom is coming to see if she wants to come. She's planning on coming. She doesn't always. Um, so yeah, I'm not doing anything. I was not really up for cooking this year, but maybe next year we'll see. Um, we'll see how I feel about it. Because I did cook like every year for like 6, 7 years, and I didn't mind as much as I don't really like to cook. I actually didn't mind. I liked cooking Thanksgiving, even though it was a lot of work. I did like cooking Thanksgiving dinner. So we're doing that. Nothing much else going on. We don't do a lot of Black Friday. We don't do any Black Friday shopping. I've never gone out for Black Friday. Back in its heyday when everybody was standing in lines and stuff. I'm so sorry. I keep touching my nose. I was very poor back then. So I definitely didn't do it then. Now, I'm too old to be going fighting people in Best Buy for a TV. Um, and now we can all shop online, so there's not even any need to do it. And Black Friday shopping starts like Black Friday sales start like a week or so in advance. So there's no reason to do it. But we don't. I'm not still not a big deal. Like big on even like checking the sales and stuff. My husband was checking Home Depot today to see if there was anything he wanted. Sorry, I'm probably messing up the microphone. But I don't even look. I did go ahead and order. I had already been kind of like filling up my cart from Amazon, like all the presents. And I found like the last few today, and I went ahead and ordered them today. I made the same mistake I always make of not checking beforehand to make sure that they're actually going to get here before Christmas. But I think everything I ordered is going to get here before Christmas. So those will start coming in probably tomorrow. I'll probably going to head and start wrapping them. Um, and get that out the way. Um, and yeah, and then yeah. So and so the passport thing. That's because we're going to. I'm going to take my son over the summer, or I'm going to try to take him over the summer to Niagara Falls, but I'm going to take him to the Canadian side. It's kind of like our dry run of international travel just to make sure he's ready because he's been wanting to go to Japan for a couple of years, really. His school system does an international trip every year, and I think when he was in like maybe 6th grade, they announced a trip to Japan, and that's when he first started getting interested in like um anime and also like Nintendo stuff, like video games, and so a lot of the stuff he's interested comes from Japan. He wanted to go, and I was like, well, I don't think you're ready to go because I don't believe parents. I'm sure parents can go, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of spots for chaperones or even like kids in general. It's only 10, it's like a handful of spots for this trip at all. And I was like, I don't think you're ready to travel across the world without me, or even in general, like travel across the world at all. I was like, but we'll see about me and you going um, maybe next year, which would have been like last summer, maybe the summer before, but it didn't happen last summer, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen this past summer either. The last 2 summers, just different things got in the way, and just not having time to plan it or not knowing. Last year just probably could have planned it, but some other family stuff came up, and so this year, I'd really like to do it. I planned ahead. I used my first use of ChatGPT was to like try to get some ideas. I don't know. how you guys feel about AI. I've kind of like I didn't care about it one way or the other, but my company is big on wanting us to incorporate AI into like as much because I'm in technology, into as much of our like tasks and stuff as we can, and so I've kind of like warmed up to it just because I've had to like make it more part of my consciousness. And so I tried it and I was like, hey, help me plan a trip to the Canadian side of Niagara Falls for a 14-year-old, like a mom and son trip, and it gave me some really good ideas. So I think we're gonna try that. So I want to get it. That's why we went got his passport. Plus, I don't know if this is everyone's experience, but I feel like all immigrant families like keep a passport even if they're not planning to go anywhere. I grew up always having a passport. There's a couple times when it like because I'm not, I was born in Guyana. I had my Guyanese passport. I forget when it expired, but I had it all through my childhood until we became citizens. And then a couple years after we became citizens, I got my first American passport, and I had that for 10 years. And then pretty much as soon as it expired, I got I renewed it, or as soon as it was expiring. And then my current passport um, is like so is it expired 2 years ago, and I was like, I always felt bad, even though I had no plans on going anywhere. Of like, I felt bad for not having an active passport because I just feel like all immigrants just keep their passport active. And so, like each of those passports too, I only used once. My Guyanese passport after we moved to America, I went to France once on it, and when I was actually my son's age, right after my ninth grade year. So I think that's a good time for him to start traveling too. And then my first American passport, I went back to Guyana once to visit some friends for 2 weeks. And then my second American passport, I went to Indonesia once, though it wasn't for fun. It was because my brother got into a motorcycle accident, and he in Bali, and I had to go get him. And so, yeah, I barely ever used it, mainly because it just, couldn't afford to travel, and then my kid was young and all this stuff. But I think now, like, we're in a good financial place, and I think my kid is at a good age to like start learning more about the world. And so, I mean, it probably would have been better to start him even earlier, but it is what it is. It just wasn't there. Now I think we're at a place where we can start, at least once a year going somewhere. So we're gonna kind of start with Canada, which is not too far. Like if the worst comes to worst, we can hop back across the border and be home. The language, there's no language barrier. Like there's not a big food barrier and stuff. And then depending on how that goes, we'll try Japan maybe next year, and then maybe we'll do a mom son trip every year and go somewhere. So that's we're looking forward to that. That'll probably be this summer, maybe June or July. Um, yeah, so that'll be cool. Um, Anything else of interest going on? Not really. Getting ready for Christmas, like I said. But I'm gonna let it go here. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. If I get this out to you guys before the holiday, before Thanksgiving, um, then have a good Thanksgiving. If I get this out after, then I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. If you're not in America, then I just hope you are having a swell time doing whatever it is you're doing right now. I'm so sorry. My nose is so itchy. I know, it's so bad. I'm so sorry you guys have had to watch that for half an hour. I'm going to let it go there and go and maybe wash my face. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.